All right. Hi, everyone. Hello, ladies. We are live again, once again today, and would like to welcome you to Women in Music SA, our YouTube channel. And today we'll be focusing on talent management. And I've got four incredible ladies who have worked in the industry for a very long time. And, you know, they represent the different genres within the SA music industry. And I will give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, starting with Nikki on my left.
Cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Nikki Froneman from Arte, Viva management. We're a boutique artist management agency in Cape Town. And yeah, we have a couple of different arms to us. We do represent some musicians and some bands. We also have an acting and performer division, and we also do a lot of tour management for incoming international and outgoing South African artists. So a couple of different areas, but yeah, I've been involved in the performing arts for about 20 years and in music for about 8 in different capacities. So I hope you have some things of interest and of use to share with everybody out there today.
All right. All right. And then we have Sevi on the bottom right.
It's funny because I'm on my top right and Nikki is on my left, so I think this configuration keeps changing. Hi everybody, and thank you for having me on this panel TWA. My name is Sevi Spanoudi. I am the director and founder of Black Major. We are a management agency also based in Cape Town, like Nikki. We have our primary focus is management. We also work on bookings and development of some film projects that have a music focus too. And more recently, we started a label side of Black Major, and we're about to launch the publishing side in the next month. So that is what we do. I have been, like Nikki, also 20 years in the music business. During the time, I have worked with artists like Abdullah Ibrahim and Ray Piri and Simpi Wedana and Freshly Ground, and all sorts of amazing artists over the years. Many of them award-winning, many of them in early development stages. So I think it's a great opportunity to be able to share some of those stories and examples through this panel.
Okay, Miss Sibu on my bottom left.
I'm at the top of you.
The musical chairs, ladies.
Hi, ladies. Hi, everybody. So I've just gone live on my Instagram just for a little bit, so people have a preview of what we're talking about, so that they can see what to look forward to on YouTube. But I'm Sibu Mabena from Duma Collective, which is a creative communications agency. We specialize in PR, event consulting, social media campaigns and influencer campaigns. We do creative direction for live performances, and then talent management and procurement for third parties. So amongst the talents that we manage, we have Jessica Nkosi, who is a
network.
I've lost Sibu.
We've lost Sibu there for a second.
Actress, PH,
Sibu?
who is a DJ.
Sibu?
Do you guys have me back?
We lost you when you were about to say Jessica Nkosi. We lost everything that followed afterwards.
I'm so sorry. So I manage Jessica, who is a actress, PH, who's a DJ, Mihlalin Damase, who's a social media influencer, and Mutsivisi Mohono, who is a super sport anchor and a journalist. So amongst the many things we do, managing talent is one of them, and that's
okay. Miss Figile on my top right.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I greet you all in the name of woman.
Womandler. We've lost you, Figile. Figile. Hello. Network is showing us flames, guys.
Yes.
Oh my God. I think we'll continue, and then when she's back online, we'll just go back to that short introduction, and then we'll, she'll join the conversation because we've kind of lost a lot of time. So, ladies, first things first. What is talent management, or what is an artist manager? Sevi, Nikki?
Yes, so I suppose there's different levels of management, and there is different extents and scales of how you relate to talent. Mm-hmm. The way we work as an agency is to look at the talent as like basically to look at the talent and how our side can contribute into developing into a business, essentially. Mm-hmm. So as a manager, we do a lot of things, like we create a vision with the artist, we create a strategy, we create an execution plan, and over time we work into developing that. Mm-hmm. That doesn't quite answer what is a manager, but it answers how we actually...
What a manager does. It answers what a manager does. Yep.
So a manager is a multi-skilled wonder worker.
Yeah. Superhero.
There is a selection of hats like on your wall, and you pretty much will put on 20 of those in any one day, sometimes in 1 hour.
Wow.
So there are so many different aspects, I think, and it very much depends on the artist, where they are in their career, what their focus is, what particular project they are busy with at that particular time, if it's to do with recording, if it's to do with releasing, if it's to do with touring. Are they more focused on live? Are they more focused on getting their music out there on digital platforms? Mm-hmm. There's so many things. I think the main thing, though, is that the manager is the person that works the closest with the artist to really understand who they are and where they are going and how best to do that. So most times, I think in South Africa, one manager is doing all the jobs of underneath that, in terms of strategic, in terms of financial, in terms of tour planning and negotiation. Certainly for smaller artists. As artists get bigger, their managerial team can include different managers that take over those different portfolios. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, it's one person putting on all of those.
Interesting that you should
strategy. Yeah.
Interesting that you are now what you just said about manager. When you're starting out as a new artist, your manager will basically do everything for you. But as you grow, then you will most likely have different people handling different roles. I say interesting because a lot of people say they are managers, especially when starting out with new talent. But I don't think that they necessarily understand what a manager does. Somebody thinks that a manager is, answering the phone and taking bookings. If somebody thinks a manager is responsible for registering your work with collecting societies, it's a very, I don't know what, it's very blurry. Blurry to a new artist that's trying to understand what is this person supposed to do for me, or why is this person a part of the team? And I guess it goes back to what Sevi was saying, like what a manager actually does. I don't know if you want to touch on that, Sibu.
So I'd say how I've explained it to a number of people is, when you look at a company, mm-hmm. let's say a company in the FMCG space.
Yeah.
This company produces a beer. Mm-hmm. Okay? A beer brand.
You're gonna make everybody thirsty.
What an example! Like, really?
So company X produces beer Y, mm-hmm. and that particular product has a number of people working to make sure it is sold and it reaches the end consumer. Mm-hmm. From a CEO of the company providing strategic direction, to a chief operations officer providing operational support, to a managing director, to a marketing director, to a brand manager, mm-hmm. to assistant brand managers, and then sales managers and salespeople. Mm-hmm. So if you look at how a company organogram is structured in order to get a product to the end consumer, I think that can help provide certain guidelines on what type of team you need to build for yourself as the person who produces a product. Your products can be music, your products can be your social media platforms, your products can be merchandise, your products can be shows. So how are you going to make sure that those products reach the end consumer? And that's how you build your team. But when you're working in a very lean structure, as long as that one person that you've got is making sure that those different functions are performed or those different roles are filled to ensure that the product reaches the consumer, then I don't think you've got to overinflate your office, so to speak, with all these different functions, with all these different human beings that would perform the different functions, so long as you know the functions that have to be performed. And also, as you grow, like you say, your team gets bigger, because also the things you offer the market increase. So where you started out as just an actress, your agent was the person you relied on more. But as your profile builds in the market, you need someone to provide business management and manage the business of you being an artist. So where people who are offering products by virtue of being a performer, singer, writer, whatever, understand what you have to offer to the market, and then that'll help you establish the team that you've got to get to help you do that.
Okay. So, two questions. Do I work for the manager, or does the manager work for me, or do we work together? That's the first question. The second question being, where do I find a manager? How do I find a manager, and how do I know which person would be the right one, would be the right fit, to kind of like help me bring this vision to life?
Well, I'll just give my view on the first question to start, and then for me, it's always a work with. It's always a collaborative. There is a large school of thought that is that the manager works for the artist. For me, it's always a collaborative relationship, working together, that we are striving for the very best together. So I feel that as a much more respectful way of framing it. So because I think that's really, for me, what relationships need to be on, and a manager artist and trust. Of course, without the artist there is no product, but I think both parties, the manager and the artist, really bring their respective strengths together. So for me, it's a collaborative relationship, and I actually have that written into my contracts, is that it's a collaborative, working together relationship, because it's so essential. But yeah, there are a few different schools of thought around that, but definitely that the artist doesn't work for the manager. That doesn't work that way around.
Sibu wants to say something.
And that goes back to looking at yourself as a company. Essentially, the artist is the board of directors, is the 100% shareholder. They are the board that we report to as the team. As the CEO of the company, I provide strategic direction, but I report to the owner of the company, and that is the said talent. That is just, in my world at least, whatever they produce is owned by them, until such a point where I co-produce things. Then I become an owner of the product that I am co-producing with them. For argument's sake, TV show. If Jessica and I would co-produce a TV show together, then that's exactly what we are. I'm not producing under the guise of being the CEO of the company. And by virtue of, and I think we should get into like different payment structures and different packages that managers can offer to a client. By virtue of me getting paid to do the job, I am this person's employee. Service provider.
Okay. Service provider. Yep.
My client. And as such, they are my boss, because I report ultimately to them.
Okay. Sevi, do you have anything to add, or do you?
I think it's definitely a combination of what both Nikki and Sibu are saying. Like, there is the business side and the structure, and who is earning from where, and how contractually that relationship is structured, and then on the other side there is the human element and what makes a great partnership in terms of being able to achieve your goals. So I think both apply. And from my side, the relationships that have worked the best are the ones that there is an energy of a partnership where we both have very clear roles and understand how we relate to each other, and the targets are the same and we're going with strengths on each side. But at the end of the day, we are providing a service, and that service would sit under I see myself as working for the artist, essentially. Even though the relationship would be at its best if we're looking at it as a partnership. And also to extend on Sibu's point, we have often worked with artists like with Spook Matambo and the creation of our documentary, Future Sound Mzansi, and DJ Lag and his event brand, Something for Claremont. We take from, in both of those situations and many others, we have taken a role of a co-producer, and that is slightly different to, well, it's very different to the managerial role. We are producing that together with both owners of the brand. Again, we have different allocations of labor and deliverables, but we are partners in that. And that, again, comes with its own structure and contracts and understanding of how that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now the question that the second question was, how do I, as a new talent, find a manager? Where do I find a manager? Because as I guess obviously with each company, you have preferences. There will be companies that will prefer to work with new talent, working on developing this new talent, and then there'll be companies that will work with established talent. How do I find a manager? How do I know that Sevi is the right person for me, or Sibu or Nikki is the right person for me? Can you shed light on that?
Who wants to start?
Nikki.
I think it very much depends. New talent can mean a lot of things. So I think it depends still where the person is in their career development. Like, not everybody needs a manager.
Yeah,
that's the first thing. Like from the get-go, like it doesn't mean you need a manager. I mean, I have had people before, literally like a dad who contacted me because his 15-year-old daughter was a great singer. But I said, she doesn't need a manager. She needs to join the choir or play around with her friends and make some music and see what happens. Not everybody's Billie Eilish. Yep. But so it depends where you are in your career. Yep. It might, but once, and I think it also helps as a very early career artist to do a lot of the stuff yourself, to start getting to grips on what are the different aspects that you need to do, and to empower yourself to understand those as much as possible. And there's a lot of resources out there that people can, literally Google how to be your own manager and stuff will start to come up. There's Bandzoogle, there's a whole bunch of resources out there that you can start to understand and do that, because I think it's also extremely dangerous if someone as a new artist just hopes to find a manager and hand everything over without actually understanding what is everything, all the stuff behind that. You don't have to be an expert, but I think it's good to start to get to grips with that. But when you do get to the stage that you're looking for a manager, maybe one of my lovely colleagues would like to take over and say what they think.
Wow.
She was in.
I don't. You just you put it so well that not everybody needs a manager from day one. Because and I've said this to so many people who've asked me to help them, and it's like what you are expecting of a manager, you won't get out of someone who has too many people to manage. Because management is such an important. The meeting has been upgraded. Shout out. It's such a sensitive thing to do. You are taking care of someone's livelihood, and any man with the ink on the paper on their contract would know and take that job very seriously, because you don't call yourself a manager by virtue of a title. You've actually got to deliver on a job. Right now, AA is gone. It's gone, and there are who were managers of this business that were put, who had the responsibility of making sure that it works out, and there were 10,000 people who were affected by that, and because of the decisions they made, now people's livelihoods are gone. And as an art manager, you've got to understand you have the exact type of responsibility. So where a person is starting out, learn the business, do it yourself, take those calls, make the calls, establish the relationships. And you find it sometimes that when I need to do a campaign, for example, it's like a social media campaign, because I have a relationship with the artist is able to ask me directly for things. But when their manager calls me because I don't know the manager, it's a little bit of a different conversation. But the artist put in the work and invested the time to get to know their market and get to know who their customers will be one day. And then a manager comes on to provide a support, provide different insights, provide a different network, or expand your network. Then as a person who is now established, what to look for in a manager: someone who takes themselves seriously, first of all, someone who you can trust, has some kind of experience in admin, basic function. What do you need a manager for? Manage the admin. You don't need your manager to come and perform. That's not what they're there to do. So if they can do the things that you don't know how to do, and are very honest in what they don't know how to do, and are able to give you guides and serve as a support, it's just like looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend. What do you look for in a life partner is the kind of thing that you're looking for in a manager. Do they have a network? Or if they don't, are they willing to go and put themselves out there for your sake? Are they willing to be integritous? Is it people that you've seen do bad, like shady things, because now your name is attached to them? What do you look for in a boyfriend or girlfriend? Go find that in a manager as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's a mouthful. What comes up from your answers is a question that's I guess also comes from I was watching a video with what I forgot his name, but he manages the rapper, the Chance the rapper. He manages Chance, and he was saying that they started out together, and he didn't know what he was doing. He had been an intern and for different people, but he had never managed anyone. So do you think that as a newcomer, is it not a good idea to then perhaps find somebody who is willing to learn with you? Because I don't know, then you get to go together, or because I find that people are always looking for established talent managers, like at the beginning of their careers, and when the reality is that you have the likes of Tili and Casper who started out together and they've built together. So do you think, for me as an up and coming artist, it's better for me to find somebody established, or is it better for me to find somebody who will believe in me and will be willing to put in the work in order to help build my name?
Can I start? I don't think there is right or wrong on this. I think all sorts of models work, and all sorts of people, and it's very much down to the people and down to their skills and down to a common vision. So in my case, I started with freshly ground. We were all at university. I was selling tickets at the door for the concerts. We were friends. There was nothing. I was studying anthropology, completely not related to music. There was I didn't have experience. I didn't have a network. I basically had nothing. The only thing we had was a sense of kind of faith in each other and what we were doing, and a sense of trust. And also a sense of kind of common vision. Okay, cool. We're all going to do this together. None of us is going to get paid in the beginning. We're all going to do everything it takes to get this band to the next level. So that was what glued us together. And that is ultimately, what worked in that band for the next few years going forward, while I was busy developing the network and the experience and all the rest of it. But I think what is important, and I see it so often, it's great to have people that are close to you, managing you, especially on those early phases. It's just that your goals maintain clear and deliverables maintain clear. Because what often happens is in those situations, you're ready to grow as an artist, and the people around you are not able or not ready to grow to the next level to take your career forward. And often you see artists that are being held back as a result of surrounding themselves with a lot of people who do not have the skills. Am I breaking up? It says my connection is unstable. Okay.
We got you back though.
Cool. Okay. So yes, I don't think there's right or wrong. It's just to be very selective of the people, and to have deliverables, have a clear contract, and to be able to assess your goals every certain period of time to see actually are we getting at that place where we are supposed to, or what we set out to do. Yeah.
And just being very clear, just being very clear about the roles and responsibilities, because there tends to be a resentment that gets built over time between friends managing artists. Artist becomes famous, but wait, I was there in the beginning when you had nothing. Now you have, but I still have nothing. As genuine as the relationship may be, as faith-centered as the relationship may be, or driven rather, you have the difficult conversations in the beginning. A marriage relationship, there's a prenup for a reason. You don't go into a marriage looking to divorce, but a prenup takes you, and a pre-artist arrangement to say, if this happens, this will happen. If this happens, this will happen. Because as friends, you see that the longest of friendships break up because people were not clear about their intentions or their capabilities.
I would agree with that, and just say that, you know, I think there isn't like a school for managers. There are various ways that you can learn the different skills that you might need, but a lot of it's just about the kind of person. So it's a lot what Sibu said earlier about the qualities of your long-time partner that you need. So I think that's the key thing, and knowing that the essential qualities that you have somebody that will work hard, that will empower and add to their knowledge as they need to, that will be upfront and honest with you, because it is a learn as you go kind of thing. But you have to really be, you know, to learn the ropes of management. And I mean, I certainly did it. I came from a performing arts background before, from theatre and film, and, you know, knew a bunch of musicians, and they were like, we really need management, please can you do it? And I was like, so I just, you know, but I had a previous set of skills that I could transfer, and I had the desire and the impetus to add to that and to build my network. So you've also got to be the kind of person that can put yourself out there, that can engage with others. So you need to know that someone can do that on your behalf as an artist. And look for that. So I think it's a wonderful thing for an early career artist and an early career manager to grow together. That can really be a long-term, beautiful relationship. So yeah.
We're running out of time. I don't like this part. We're running out of time, and there's so much that we still need to discuss. But I think last few questions, the most important one being artists pricing themselves. And this was, you know, a reminder from your tweet, Sibu. Pricing yourself as an artist, payment for an artist, where does this payment go? Because this becomes a very big issue. You know, this is where people end up fighting, you know, that I only got 15% out of the 100,000, you know, or where is this money supposed to go? You've got a booking, and, you know, there's 100,000 rands transferred because now you're a big established artist. Where is this money supposed to go? Number one. Number two, I just went blank. Sorry.
Start with number one.
Yeah, yeah. So where does this money go? Who is supposed to? Where is the client? Is the client supposed to pay Nikki, or the client supposed to pay the talent? Where does the money go? And how do you price yourself? How do you not overprice yourself? How do you not underprice yourself? how do we figure this out, especially if you're both growing together, talent and manager?
Who wants to answer?
But I feel like I've
Money. No one wants to talk
I
about
can start, say something about money. This is controversial. I mean, this is where I suppose most artist-manager relationships can sour.
Yep.
And for me, we have done quite a lot to try and avoid that from happening. So a lot of the systems, well, not a lot, all of our systems, including our contracts and the fees and the setup of each show, are completely accessible to the artist. Everything sits on Google Drive. Documents are available real time, essentially. And that helps a lot. It helps in the sense that any artist can access any invoice, any contract, any bit of paperwork that has done with their name on it. So this is to answer the question of where does the money go? The money goes, in its majority, comes to us. We report to the artist on a monthly basis. We take a commission from that income and we pay over the balance. Often we have to cover costs on behalf of the artist during that month, whether it is for touring, advertising, promotion, campaigns, blah, blah, blah. All of that is accessible to them through, again, receipts on a folder in Google Drive that they can access at any time, and that gets deducted from what needs to be paid to them. Expenses over a certain amount need to be approved by them. In our case, most of the time we will approve even small things like running a Facebook campaign for 300 Rand, just so there is no issue of like, oh, you didn't let me know that this was happening and wasn't expecting it. Yeah, and also, I mean, this is obviously not the only way of doing it, but we found that that has been the best way of dealing with tax, dealing with payments of additional musicians, dealing with service providers. If the fee lands to us, we just activate all of those payments at the same time, and the artist doesn't have to do that. It does mean that the artist needs to be on top of things. And in our case, there has been, like, we've done mistakes in our accounting, and the artist has come back and said, oh, but that actually, we had said this and that. Oh, cool, sorry, mistake. It happens the same way, you know, I suppose in any situation. And we have worked it differently. Okay, just an exception to this would form any income that is coming in directly from labels and collection societies, which would land directly to the artist account, and then we would invoice for that amount. So we just exclude those income streams from us invoicing directly. And then the other thing is that we've set up most of our artists as a business. So they're PTY limited structures. And you know, in the event that they need to apply for funds or they need to, whatever the case might be, they're set up as a business to be able to do that. So essentially, we pay the business business pays the artist. We try to encourage a model that the artist pays themselves a salary that is flat throughout the whole year, and that creates consistency.
Send me that speech so I can copy and paste.
Yeah. And that's basically it. But I'm also very curious. I'm always very curious to different pricing models. We have a flat commission rate that we work with. I'm going to be transparent about it. It's 25%. It's a little bit higher than many, I suppose, similar agencies. But yeah, I'm curious to know what other people are doing to that effect.
Yes. So you're definitely not taking the 75%, because this is this is what ends up in the Sunday papers, and, you know, payback the money tags on social media, where you find that the artist is taking a big chunk of you know, what is coming in, and then trying to justify with everything that you've mentioned, you know, that is practical, obviously, but then they're like, no, we've had to pay your rent, we've had to pay your car installments, we've had to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know. So it's good to know that the commission is you say it's 25. I say it's standard, you know. It's not high, because of the amount of work that you guys do, unlike somebody who's taking 75%. I don't know if Nikki and Sibu want to add something to that.
Yes, I do. So I think to touch on something that, I mean, we run a very similar system actually to Sevi, because Google Drive is amazing and it makes things super transparent, and it's very, very easy and immediate to do, which is great. I think though it does put a responsibility on the artist, as Sevi said, it is their responsibility. And what I said earlier, like learn, empower yourself. Don't just accept something, know what is what. I think with regards to the Sunday Times, or whoever it is, they're often looking for very interesting stories. So sometimes I only got paid 20% is because, well, you also got paid 60% before this on the various loans that you had. That also happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So one just needs to just make sure of that. But I think there's a couple of things I'd like to mention. Firstly is for artists to, if they're going to work with some kind of a manager or an agent, to be very clear when they are billing and deciding on fees. What's fee? What is expenses? Because management fees or booking fees come off the performance fee only. Expenses should always be outside of that. So if your performance fee is 20 grand and there's 5 grand of expenses, the management is not entitled to put commission onto the expenses. Sometimes there's a processing fee or an administration fee, but basically the commission should be coming off the performance fee. The second thing for artists to know is around tax and what kind of tax they are liable for. So if you're earning that 20,000 Rand or 25,000 Rand, your agent or artist has taken, or manager has taken 20%, so you've got 20. There's still, if you're on PAYE, 25% coming off on that. So you're getting 15K in your account. If you've structured it differently, like major artists where they are PTY limited and they're paying a salary, you're going to move into a different kind of tax category and bracket. You're going to be on provisional tax or something like that. But it's very important to know that. And we don't get taught it at school or at university. So it's something that you have to empower yourself about. In terms of the pricing model, I think it's very important just to talk to other artists and to try and find out who on your level, where are they sitting at? Because, there's singer-songwriter, a good friend of mine, he's down the road, he's amazing. There's also, what's his name? Guitar and play for millions of people. So you've got to figure out where you're sitting. If you really don't know anybody, then I think there are some sites like Gigster would be one of them that they will start to give you an estimate of where you can play. But I think it's definitely around asking and making sure you're not pitching too low and not pitching too high.
So I'll speak on the pricing as a manager side, just to Sevi's point about what our other agencies doing. We charge a retainer depending on your needs. So if you want X, Y, we give you the Andicio's shopping list. Then we retainer on that. And then we take a percentage, but we've got 2 percentages. One is if we solicit the business from start to finish. And secondly, which is higher, I think we're at 15% for that or something. And then if you bring in, if the call came to you first, doesn't matter that we both have the relationship. If the call came to you first, then you pass it on to us, then we take a lower percentage. I think it's 10 or 12, something like that. Because we are on a retainer. And the retainer is based on the fact that there's all the admin work that has to happen in the month. We've got to put the pitch decks together. We've got to make the calls. We've got to send out the emails. We've got to go to the meetings. And if nothing comes of that, then we've spent all of the time putting an effort and putting work into doing the work. But because the client ended up not liking you or whatever and went with someone else, we've still done. That's one. 2, from a pricing perspective, what I always encourage my people, we read the room. So even the thing of with rate cards are a really nice indicator for people who don't know. Where how much does Bonang charge? And then as a supplier for like social media campaigns, I can go to a client and say don't even talk to us if you don't have 10 rand. Okay, don't, like, if your budget is 3.50 rand. But where you are able to ask what the budget is. I'm so good at asking, what is your budget? When you pitch a price, and I always say this, I'm very clear. I'm pitching this price because you've asked. This is what we would desire. But if it doesn't work for your budget, let's have a conversation around what does. And you can then very quickly tell if a person is trying to hustle you or not. Because more often than not, reading the room, people are always trying to make a saving. And sometimes if you have the relationship enough, they'll tell you, friend, I've got this much. That's what it is. When they have a lot of money, they'll give it to you. When they don't, they'll be honest. But it goes with time, it goes with relationship, and it also goes with experience. I've once had a person ask for one of my talent to be a lead in a TVC. And I said, yeah, offering 2 cents. Let me call someone who has done a similar thing. And I said, how much did you charge for your person to do this thing? And he said, I watched ABC. And I said, no, these people are offering me 20 cents. He said, are you crazy? No ways, take it up to this. So also, as we talk, and that's as clients talk. So ask, do your research, to Nikki's point. Also, read the room, because you go and charge 100 rand for a 20 rand project. You either want it or you don't.
Okay. All right. Ladies,
I have a question, very quick one.
Yes,
Can
no
I?
problem. Yes, of course.
To both ladies. We have only worked with music and haven't managed outside of the music space, really. How do you find that is different or similar, and how does it work having access to multiple networks and connections when you're going across different disciplines and areas?
Missed the beginning of your question, but I think I got it. I found it extremely useful. I think it's really actually like one of my strongest points as a professional, because I have worked in theatre, I've worked in film, I've now been working in music for some years, I've worked in PR, like all related to the arts and culture sphere. But it is amazing how much all of that is informed how I interact and transact in the music sphere. So it's really very, very useful. Taking whatever you can from every single experience, and I find it just gives me I can view things from a multi-pronged approach. So I find it very, very useful to have more industries that I have worked in. I hope that was answering the question, because I didn't hear the beginning part, but I think so.
Yes.
Also, it just opens up your network and your thinking, right? So when it comes to like negotiating things very quickly, I've learned now from an actress what I should be doing when my DJ gets asked to do something on TV. I'm like, there's a usage rate. Oh, okay, the text is actually, oh.
Network. Sibu. Sibu.
Instagram, from what happens with interest rates, what is the standard, so lots of things that I'm picking up from different industries. But also don't just sit back and assume. I also go out and learn. I watch a lot of different documentaries on different managers, like Clarence Avant. What is Quincy doing? What does Scooter do for Justin Bieber? What's the behind the scenes? Why is Beyonce managing herself versus like, what's a tour manager? What's an agent? What's a PA? There's so much knowledge out there in the World Wide Web that you could become a super manager just by watching all the other managers.
Okay. We've run out of time, so I'm just worried that Zoom is just gonna cut us off. We've run out of time, but I really wish that we had more time, or that this was like in person, because then we'd have more time and we'd have people asking you questions directly. But thank you so much for availing yourselves for this conversation. I've certainly learned a lot. I learn a lot from every single conversation, and I think like you've kind of taken pointers from each other. I'm hoping that you've taken pointers from each other.
Definitely.
Yeah. I understand why you wanted a panel, so I understand fully. So thank you so much for availing yourselves, and hopefully we'll chat again soon about what we're facing, having other role players or industry players from PR and other avenues of the industry to talk about this pandemic and what we are facing and what how, because that's something that needs to be discussed. But thank you a million thank yous. And yeah. Yes.
Anyway, shout out to you for doing
Aw,
this.
stop.
Thank you so much. It was so necessary.
Stop.
Are you still here? Are you?
I'm here. You just
Breaking up a
Oh no,
bit.
seriously. Because like you said, to Nikki's point, there is no school for this. No one can go to school and learn how to be an artist manager in South Africa, how to be an artist manager in America, because the environments are completely different. So thank you for this, because I've learned now, hey,
Yeah.
oh yeah, text, what, this actually would be great to do,
Yeah.
But also, Shakira is, hi, Sevi, is on my Instagram live.
Oh, my love. I love her.
Voices are amazing. And then Khali says we need more of this. So women in music, guys, please follow Tiwe so you can see where all these chats are coming up. There's so many different. There are lots of women in the arts. Not everybody has to be on stage. Some of us can be behind the scenes and provide the platforms and the support structures for the people who are on stage to flourish, and then we all flourish together.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
We'll chat again soon. We have to.
Yes.
Bye bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Ciao.